Jake was walking through the thick forest. He was a young man from Earth who liked to explore new places. This forest was on a far planet where people from Earth had built a small colony. The trees were tall and strange. The air smelled fresh but wild. Jake knew the forest could be dangerous, but he liked the quiet and the unknown. While walking, he heard a soft sound. It was a small voice calling for help. Jake stopped and looked around. The sound came from near a stream. He moved closer and saw a little boy sitting by the water. The boy looked lost and scared. His clothes were torn and he had scratches on his arms. Jake felt sorry for the boy. He kneeled down and asked, "Are you okay? Where is your home?" The boy looked at Jake with big eyes, but said only a few words. He spoke in a language Jake did not understand well. Jake smiled and said, "It is okay. I will help you." The boy nodded slowly and held Jake's hand. Jake helped him stand up. He looked at the boy and thought, "I must find where he belongs." Jake remembered seeing a village from a hill nearby. He decided to take the boy there. The boy held his hand tightly as they walked. The forest was thick, and the path was hard to see. Sometimes they had to go around fallen trees and jump over small rivers. As they walked, Jake kept talking softly to the boy, told him about Earth and the stars. The boy listened quietly, but seemed less afraid. After some time, they reached the top of a hill. Below them was a small village. It had many wooden houses built on stilts. Smoke came out from small chimneys. People moved around, some working, some talking. Jake saw men and women wearing simple clothes, but some had decorations that looked important. Jake took a deep breath and started going down the hill with the boy. As they entered the village, people stopped and looked at them. The boy squeezed Jake's hand and looked around with wide eyes. A tall man came forward. He looked strong and serious. He spoke to Jake in clear English. "Who is this boy?" Jake answered. "I found him lost in the forest. I am taking him back to his home." The man looked at the boy and then at Jake. "You are kind to bring him back. We thank you." More people came out of the houses. They looked curious and careful. Some whispered to each other. Jake felt like he was being watched closely. The tall man said, "I am Daniel. I help lead this village. You did something important today." Jake did not understand. He thought, "I only helped a lost child." Daniel smiled and said, "There is more to this than you know. Come, we will have food and talk." Jake followed Daniel and the boy to a large house in the middle of the village. Inside, the air was warm and the smell of cooked food was strong. Many people sat around long tables. A woman with calm eyes and a quiet voice stood up. She was the queen of the village. Her name was Sarah. Sarah looked at Jake and nodded. "Thank you for bringing back my son." Jake was surprised. "He is your son?" Sarah smiled gently. "Yes. The boy you found is very special." Jake felt strange. He had only wanted to help a lost child. Now he was in the middle of something bigger. Sarah spoke again. "Our village has an old tradition. Whoever shows great courage and kindness in times of need may be chosen to lead us." Jake did not know what to say. He was just a visitor. Sarah continued, "Your actions have caught our attention. We want to see more of who you are." Jake looked at the boy who was now sitting close to his mother. The boy smiled at Jake. Jake thought, maybe this journey's not over yet. The next morning, Jake woke up in a small room inside the queen's house. The sunlight came through a small window. He felt nervous, but also curious. He did not know what to expect. The boy was sleeping on a bed next to him. Jake watched him and smiled. The boy looked safe now. Outside, voices called his name. Jake opened the door and saw Daniel waiting for him. Daniel's face was serious but kind. "Come," Daniel said. "We need to talk." Jake followed him to a room where several men and women sat around a wooden table. It looked like leaders of the village. The queen was there too. She nodded at Jake. Daniel began, "Our village has a tradition. When the old chieftain cannot lead anymore, we find a new one by a test. This test is not easy. It looks for courage, wisdom, and care." Jake listened carefully. "The boy you found is the son of our queen," Daniel said. "He was hidden to protect him. Your act of returning him showed heart, but it is only the start." The queen spoke next. "The test will show us if you can be a leader. It will ask much from you. Will you take it?" Jake thought for a moment. He did not want trouble. He was just a traveler. But the kindness inside him told him to say yes. "I will try," he said. The queen smiled slightly. "Good. Tomorrow the test will begin." Jake spent the day walking around the village. People looked at him with respect. Some came to say hello. A woman named Claire spoke to him. "I am glad you are here," she said. "Test is hard, but you will not be alone." Jake asked, "What kind of test is it?" Claire looked serious. "You will face many challenges. You'll need to solve problems, help others, and show strength." Jake nodded, felt a mix of fear and excitement. That night, he thought about what was coming. He did not want to fail. The next day, the test began. Daniel brought Jake to a small group of villagers who were in a fight. Two families had an old argument. The problem had grown bigger. Jake was asked to help make peace. He talked to the families. He listened to their problems. He told them to think about their children and future. Slowly, the anger went down. The families agreed to stop fighting. Jake felt relief. This was the first step. After that, Claire took Jake to the edge of the forest. "You will lead a hunting party," she said. "We need food, and the forest is dangerous." Jake did not know much about hunting, but he wanted to try. He followed Claire and a small group of men and women into the trees. The forest was thick and dark. Strange sounds came from all sides. Jake stayed close to the group. He learned to watch the ground and listen carefully. They found wild animals and caught enough food. Jake helped carry the meat back. The village was happy to see the hunters return safely. That evening, Jake sat with the queen. She said, "You did well today, but tomorrow will be harder." The next challenge came quickly. A group of raiders appeared near the village. They wanted to take the food and harm the people. The village was small and not ready for a big fight. Jake stood with the leaders. He knew he had to make quick choices, told the villagers to hide the children and the women in safe places. Then he organized the men to prepare defenses. The raiders came with loud shouts. Jake and the village men stood firm. Jake used what he had learned from Earth. He found high ground and made a plan to trap the raiders. The fight was tough, but Jake's plan worked. The raiders were forced to run away. The village cheered. Jake felt tired but proud. "You have shown courage and smart thinking," she said. "This is what a leader must have." Jake looked around. The people were happy and safe because of his choices. That night, Jake sat alone and thought. He did not want to be a leader, but he also saw how much the village needed someone strong and kind. The boy who had been lost was now safe with his mother. Jake felt a bond with the village growing inside him. He knew the test was not over yet, but he was ready for whatever came next. Jake woke early. The sky was gray but calm. He felt the weight of the test pressing on him. Today, the queen said, would be about wisdom and fairness. Daniel came to find him. "Come with me," he said. They walked to the village square. There two groups of people waited. Both looked tense. The problem was old, but still fresh in their minds. They had argued over land and water for years. Neither side wanted to give up. Jake stood between them, took a deep breath and said, "I will listen to both of you. Speak one at a time." The first group told their story. They said the river belonged to them because their families had lived there for many years. They depended on the water for crops and animals. The second group spoke next. They said the land on the other side of the river was theirs. They said the river had changed course and now they could not reach their fields. Jake looked at both groups. He thought about what he had learned from Earth. He said, "I see that both sides have needs. Fighting will only bring harm," he suggested. "Let us find a way to share the water and land. Maybe we can build canals or move the fields so both can use the resources." The people looked unsure, but Jake's calm words helped them think differently. They agreed to try working together. Jake smiled. This was a good start. Later, Claire found him. "You are doing well," she said. "The queen watches everything." Jake nodded. "What is next?" Claire smiled. "You will join a hunting party again? But this time, you will lead." Jake felt nervous. He had only been with the hunters once before, but he accepted. The next morning, he gathered a group of villagers. They set out into the forest, moving carefully. Jake watched the animals and listened to the hunters' advice. He learned where to find food and how to avoid danger. They caught enough game for the village. On the way back, Jake helped carry the heavy packs. The hunters respected his effort. When they returned, the village was ready to celebrate the food and safety. That evening, Jake sat with the queen. "You have shown wisdom and strength," she said. "Tomorrow, the last test begins." Jake asked, "What is it?" The queen looked at him with steady eyes. "It is a test of heart. You must face danger and protect the village." Jake prepared himself. He knew this was the most important part. The next day, the raiders returned. They were bigger in number and more fierce. Jake quickly organized the defense. He sent messengers to warn everyone. He placed the strongest men at the front and told the others to protect the children and women. The battle was hard. Jake led the men with courage. He shouted orders and helped where he could. After many hours, the raiders retreated. The village was safe once more. Jake stood tired, but proud. The queen came to him and said, "You have passed the test." The village gathered and cheered. Jake felt a new respect from them all. He looked at the boy, safe and smiling. Jake knew his life had changed forever. The queen placed a hand on Jake's shoulder. "Will you accept the role of chieftain?" Jake took a deep breath. He looked at the people who trusted him. He nodded. "I will," he said. The village celebrated late into the night. Jake knew that he was no longer just a traveler. He was part of something greater. And his journey had only just begun. After the celebration, Jake felt the weight of his new role. He was now the chieftain, but he was still learning what that meant. The village looked to him for guidance, and the queen trusted him, and the people expected him to protect and lead them. The next morning, Jake woke early. He walked outside and saw the village busy with work. Some men repaired roofs, while women prepared food. Children played nearby. Jake felt a strong connection to these people who had welcomed him. Daniel came to talk with Jake. "Now your work begins," he said. "There are many problems to solve. The village needs strong leadership." Jake nodded. "I will do my best." Daniel showed Jake the records of the village. They told of past leaders, old rules, and agreements with nearby villages. Jake studied them carefully. He knew he must respect traditions but also make changes when needed. One of the biggest problems was the threat of raiders. They came often looking to steal food and supplies. Jake knew he had to make the village safer. He called a meeting with the leaders and the queen. "We need to build better defenses," Jake said. "Walls, watchtowers, and a signal system to warn us quickly." The leaders agreed. They began planning and working together. Jake helped organize the work crews. He did not sit back as a chief, but worked with his people. As the weeks passed, the village grew stronger. The walls rose higher, and the watchtowers gave a good view of the surrounding land. Signal system, using fire and flags, could alert the villagers fast. Jake also worked on peace talks with nearby villages. He wanted to build friendships instead of more fights. Many people were tired of war. One day a messenger arrived. He brought news that a large group of raiders was moving toward the village. Jake called the leaders and villagers together. "We must be ready," he said. "Our defenses will help, but we must stand together." The villagers prepared weapons and supplies. The children and women moved to safe places. Jake and the men took their positions on the walls and towers. When the raiders came, Jake was ready. He watched from a tower and gave orders. The raiders tried to climb the walls, but the villagers fought back hard. Jake's leadership was clear and strong. After hours of fighting, the raiders retreated again. The village had won thanks to Jake's plans and the people's courage. The queen came to Jake afterward. "You have protected us well," she said. "Your heart and mind are strong." Jake smiled but felt tired. He knew the work would never end. Days later, Jake visited the boy and the queen. The boy was growing stronger and happier. Jake felt a bond with them both. The queen spoke quietly to Jake. "You have brought peace and hope to us. You are more than our leader. You are part of our family." Jake looked at the village. He saw people working, laughing, and living. He knew he had found a new home. His journey had changed him. From a simple traveler, he was now a leader who would guide his people through many challenges ahead. Months passed since Jake became chieftain. The village grew stronger and safer. The walls stood tall, and the people worked together like never before. Jake felt proud, but knew there was always more to do. One morning, Daniel came to Jake with news. "Traders from a far village want to visit." They seek friendship and trade. Jake thought this was good. The village needed new supplies and friends. He prepared to welcome the traders. When the traders arrived, Jake greeted them with respect. The traders brought goods like cloth, tools, and spices. The village offered food and shelter in return. The meetings went well. Jake talked with the trader leader named John. They agreed to help each other. This was the start of new alliances. Life in the village changed. The people had better tools and more food. The children learned new stories from the traders. The village felt more connected to the world. One evening, the queen called Jake. "You have done well, Jake," she said. "Saved my son and led us with courage. You are part of our history now." Jake looked at her. "I did what I could. This village is my home now." The boy, now stronger and older, smiled at Jake. "Thank you," he said simply. Jake knew he had found a place where he belonged. A place where he could protect and lead. But Jake also knew that dangers might come again. Raiders, storms, or sickness could threaten the village. He was ready to face those challenges with his people. The village had changed because of one act of kindness, returning a lost child. That simple act had started a journey no one expected. Jake's life was no longer his own. He was chieftain, protector, and friend. And he would stand strong for his village no matter what came next.